Welcome to the On Your Left podcast, brought to you by Trails of Mississippi, your ultimate guide to the thrilling world of trail running, hiking, and mountain biking. Join your host, Matt Clem, as we explore breathtaking trails, conquer challenging peaks, and dive into the adventures that await in the great outdoors. Get ready to lace up, gear up, and get inspired. Adventure is just around the corner. On your left.
All right, we're here, episode 11.
I love it.
11, yes. I've got Dallis Ketchum in studio with us.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Dallis came straight in off a run.
I sit down and I realize, oh, wait a minute, this is being videoed, and I should have brought my sweat rag in here, you know.
It's all good.
I love it.
It's all good. Where did you run?
I was in the neighborhood in Belhaven. We live in Belhaven.
We'll get into all of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so anyways, just, you know, if I can get a little bit of grit in my day, you know how this goes.
Yeah.
If I can get a little bit of that sweat
Yeah.
in my day, that cortisol goes to the right places.
Sure.
You know, all that stress just starts to fade back out. But today, I just ran the neighborhood and ran a few trails in the neighborhood, and I'm sure we'll get a lot into that access trail.
Yeah.
But got my little therapy session, right? And I was like, yeah, I got to go get my head right.
So, well, first of all, we'll get to Dallas here shortly. Daniel, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, brother. How
Good.
are you?
Good. Very
Good.
well.
Good.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Daniel's
It's your birthday.
birthday
Thank you.
was, when your birthday was on the 3rd?
July 3rd, yeah.
How's that back to back?
It's great.
Was
it?
Okay. How is the nonprofit motorcycle club coming along?
Oh, wow.
We have a fan club, and I've
Okay.
been getting fan letters asking
Yeah.
about the.
You know what? So it was going to be a sober motorcycle club, right? And I started thinking about it like, how many sober people do you know that are passionate about riding motorcycles?
Well, it seems like it's something you need to do sober.
Yeah, yes, that's true. But there's not a lot out there. So it was going to be a limited audience of the people that can be involved. And then I started thinking, well, I'll just start another nonprofit. But then I was like, I'm not excited about that. Like, I was going to do a motorcycle club because there's not anything like that in our state. But I don't know. Long story short, I just lost passion for it. And when I lose passion for something, I don't do it. I don't do something half-ass. I'm either all in or
look. There's ebbs and flows to everything.
Yeah, it's just you have that
As
feeling
someone
that it's
has
not the
helped
right thing.
start. Look, I've helped start several nonprofits, and you get a great idea, and sometimes they fall flat. But don't give up on it.
Oh,
Hang in there, and I
yeah.
think
I got a lot of great things going on. So it's
But please be careful riding the motorcycle.
I will.
Because honestly, I don't know anything about this podcast studio. We've already talked about that, haven't we?
We need you, Daniel.
Yeah, Dallas came in. Dallas was fascinated with the studio. I think Dallas is going to sign up and get him a.
Yeah, I think I'm.
Are you going to do one for real estate?
Yeah, I think I would do something real estate, or maybe do something just kind of all things Jackson. It would be probably my shtick.
Yeah,
Trying to get people on here that would talk about the One Lake Project,
sure.
to talk about,
Well, I think you could talk about a lot of things, and let me just say, so full disclosure, I get people inbox me a lot, former guests are like,
Yeah,
you
right.
should have this person on, you should have that person on. And Johnny Davis, who's been on the show, he's the president for Tri-County Mountain Bike.
right?
He said, you've got to get Dallis Ketchum on.
Oh man,
And funny, so I think I might have met you a time or two at a Mutts race
probably
or whatever.
some race.
Okay, you looked familiar. Well, I'm going to put it up on the screen. I reached out to Dallis and I said, Dallis, hey, I'm so-and-so with... No, that was the second photo. There it is. That's the first one. I said, Dallis, would you be interested in coming on the show to talk about the Belhaven mountain bike? And this is what I get.
Yeah.
no, okay or nothing. He just posts that to me, and I just giggled. And then I was like, okay, well, Dallis, just shoot me a bio of what you got going on and all this. And so you sent me, like, I guess, a link to your real estate company. Told the history of everything. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. How's Tuesday at 6:15 sound? So then I get that photo.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So I had a feeling that you were, So
I mean, my kids laugh at me, right? They think it's ridiculous and hilarious. But the medium of text messaging is so flat,
yeah,
right? You
I get it.
just don't know what's the real feel of the conversation.
Well,
right?
I definitely saw you were enthused.
It is. There's no doubt that you know what my level of excitement is, right?
Sure.
And so I do this with clients, right? I do this with my friends. I do this with people at church. Like, they know that if Dallis is in, like, Dallis is 1,000% in.
So I went yesterday to Buffalo Peak.
Did you?
I went and bought a turtle box. Speaking of which, why didn't I come up with the turtle box?
I don't know. It's a pretty great idea.
I mean, good God, for something it's the size of. It was like $250. What are we doing for a speaker?
So what's
Anyway,
the gig on the turtle box? Is it super loud or something?
It does sound pretty damn good.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie.
Okay.
Well, apparently it's magnetic, so you can throw it on the side of your tailgate. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's waterproof, so if you drop it in the lake, you're good. But it's kind of silly. I mean, and some of them get $400 or $500. Anyway, I went to Buffalo Peak.
Yeah.
To get one, and I saw Dave, and Dave Dave and Bob are going to come on the show sometime.
Oh, that'd
but
be great.
They're so busy with like pre-orders and all this, so we're pushing them to the back burner. They're going to come on, but he asked me who else coming on the show, and I told him you were coming on. And the first thing Dave said, "How big's your studio?"
Yeah. Skinny guy, big personality. What my wife and I said, I'm just a golden retriever. Right.
Yeah.
So the hair goes everywhere and the tail doesn't stop wagging. Right. If I'm excited about something, I'm going to be all over it. Right. Like Daniel was saying, like if he's excited about it, it is level 11. Let's go. And if you lose enthusiasm on it, then you're going to go find the next thing to go get excited about. And so I think that's just my personality. By nature, just a promoter of things.
Well, I think it's fascinating because I think I had dinner the other night with. Do you know Bob Weinman?
I know that name from Strava, and from the race world.
He says I think he follows you. Maybe, but
him.
we were eating dinner, and I told him you were coming on, and he said I think he's an historian of Jackson. Are you? Do you keep up with?
Like you mean a historian?
Yeah,
as a small timer.
You kind of follow, and that's a passion of yours. I thought that was interesting.
I do love it. And I you know how it goes for Jackson. You pick up these tidbits from people, right? Like you get these little droplets, these little, and you don't know if some of them are true, right? But then other times the source is verifiable, and that's where the story starts to get really, really interesting when you kind of know that they're true. Like for instance, one thing that we have in our office right now, right? So I'm a real estate broker. We're in Belhaven. I own neighbor house. I have one business partner. Anyway, so my business partner is my best friend, Walt Wofford. And there's an old real estate office in town, in the neighborhood. His name is Henry LaRose. You remember this name?
I do know Henry.
Okay. So Henry's office has been in Belhaven forever, right? And when we started, this is a long time ago, but when we started, we looked at buying Henry's building. And never worked out. His space was too small. But we found in his office the old insurance lot and plat books. So this is truly like a book that is 3 feet tall, right? By 3 feet wide. And it's 10 inches thick. And it truly looks like something out of like a Nicolas Cage silly movie, right? Like it looks like, but it's the actual plat map book of Jackson.
Whoa.
This is the original, the book, the insurance. It's called a Sanborn map. You ever seen one of these? This is crazy. So the book has an original print date, right? And the original print date on this one's been covered up, but every time they would index a book, right? So every time something had changed throughout the city, they would have used a razor blade, okay, and cut out and drawn whatever was built over a parcel and razor bladed it out and then glued it over the parcel, right? And so every year they would have re-indexed this book. So it was indexed back in 42.
Jeez.
It was the first time it was indexed, and then it was finally indexed in 54. And this book is sitting on our conference room table, and you can turn the pages, and they're super thick, and they're all wavy and crinkly, right? And you fold it over, and you can just smell the history that's coming out of this thing, right? It's just wild to think that, you know, my office building on the corner of Jefferson and Carlisle, was built in 1910.
How long have you been in Belhaven? Did you grow up
20
in Belhaven?
years.
Okay.
No.
So are you from the area?
No. So this is most definitely home.
Okay, yeah.
We're not going anywhere, you know. But my dad was a preacher. We moved around. But my dad went to RTS, which is Reformed Theological Seminary, which is here in Jackson. And then moved around. I was born in the Delta, did some time in Texas, went to high school in Memphis, went to Ole Miss, been here ever since.
Okay.
And been in Belhaven the whole time. So 20 years in Belhaven.
Okay. So I grew up in Woodland Hills.
Did you?
Which
street?
I grew up on Rebecca Court.
Yes, I know Rebecca
Okay,
Court.
so the story behind, so my father, we moved here in 1980.
Please tell me your mom is Rebecca.
No, it's not. Crazier than that. My father he worked for University of Florida, and he took the chairman of microbiology at UMC. He had 5 kids. He needed to be close to the lab. So he looked at a bunch of housing in Eastover and, you know, all these different areas. But he bought a house right down Frontage Road down the hill, and he bought the old Cruz house. And I don't know if you know the story behind that.
Tell me.
But it was the Cruz family that owned all the color tiles. And back in 1979,
How do you spell Cruz?
I think it's like cruising, like CRUISE, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, the son had some mental issues and had a shooting, and he killed his mother and his father and his brother at his brother's birthday party at the house.
What?
It was a big house, 5,500 square feet.
Like Joe Rogan said, that's crazy.
It was nuts. Well, anyway, we moved to the Cruz house, and we lived there probably for 20 years.
Hope you got a bargain on that one.
My dad did.
Yeah, but
it had all kind. It was a weird, like Brady Bunch type house.
Yeah.
It'd been added onto a bunch of times. But I grew up in Woodland Hills.
Yeah.
I went to Boyd Elementary. I went to Chastain, and then I went to Murrah. And my wife's from Clinton.
Okay.
And we got married, and we lived just off of State Street on Downing. We bought one of the first funky Fondren Sofo houses. We bought it from Camp Best and Mary Jo McAnally. We bought a house from them, from Fondren, and we lived there for 11 years. And I had 3 children, and they all went to McWillie Montessori.
Yeah,
and so it was great. But then my kids started aging up, and we had to make a decision.
Sure,
what did we want to do? Did we want our kids to go to Chastain, or do we want to do private school, or what did we want to do? And we were outgrowing the house, so we sold out.
Yep,
we sold out. We moved out to Gluckstadt, which I was telling Daniel, you know, for a little while, sometimes I still kind of feel bad about that because I'm like you. I do care deeply about the city of Jackson. I grew up there, and it frustrates me, especially over the last few years with some of the just foolishness that we've seen, silliness rather.
Yeah.
But I guess you see that everywhere. But I still do care deeply about it.
Yeah.
And I want Jackson to succeed. So we moved. Yeah, we sold out. We moved out to the burbs.
We can all cheerlead for Jackson,
but it doesn't have. It's safe, but it doesn't have the personality.
Yeah.
Right. So I do, and I grew up.
You were riding your bike to Fondren.
We used to play on the trestle down the hill in Belhaven. I grew up. I had friends everywhere.
Yep.
Laurel Street Park. The whole area, all of that.
Yeah. You were, as a kid, were playing back in the Belhaven mountain bike trails before they were the mountain bike trails.
Yeah. Yeah, we were
in those woods.
Yes, we were. We were doing a lot of other stuff too that you probably shouldn't be doing
right
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so whenever the whole idea about the Belhaven mountain bike trail came about, I was like, man, that's just awesome.
It has been. It's been a super cool thing to watch.
Tell us, okay? Because when we started Trails in Mississippi, we were looking for different organizations that we could try to help in some sort of way. And
we'll
at that
gladly
time,
take any help.
I think at that time, you guys were kind of just starting to get it off the ground.
Okay.
And I remember, I think I might have reached out to Ty Hardy. Ty was one of the people involved. Were you one of the founders as well?
That's right.
There was just a group of you guys, right?
That's right.
Just neighborhood
Basically,
guys.
Neighborhood dads that were all,
so tell us, how did it start?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the listeners might not be familiar. There is a market trail.
Correct.
And we don't want to confuse those two because
right.
They do kind of run next to each other. But the market trail, that is a state-funded trail or city-funded trail.
Well, it's Rails to Trails money, so that's federal dollars.
Okay.
But
and that runs from the Children's Museum all the way to by the Coliseum. Is that correct?
That's right. So the current paved trail is called Museum Trail.
Okay.
And that runs currently from Riverside Drive at 55 down beside. You see the big Museum Trail logo when you're in Waterworks Curve. If you look east, it says big. It's that classic.
I try not to look up when I'm driving right there.
It's got to be like the biggest chicane of interstate.
First of all, can we talk
world.
about MDOT? What were they thinking when they built that right there?
There's some history to it because it's about Belhaven. Because there were some old streets that were through there.
Why can there not just be a straight line there?
I know. Because it was pinned between Waterworks, the water treatment facility and the neighborhood.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Anyway,
okay.
we can. I guess we could go deep dive that one day.
Yeah.
But so Museum Trail is really going to be an artery of life given to the city of Jackson that will be similar to like what you've seen that's happened in Atlanta, right? Where you took old rail bed, right? And you convert that old rail bed into, not trail, but actual paved sidewalk, right? And now anything that's on that loop in Atlanta is thriving, right? If you can have access to that, because you've driven through Atlanta probably in the last 10 years. The whole city is a parking lot. But anyways, the mentality about about those guys at Museum Trail, the David Farr, is that if you can, the Ray Nielsen, these guys that are just driving force for good for this thing. But the Museum Trail, it being this artery, if we can connect spaces, if we can connect the places, we can connect the people. And you've probably seen how, a developer may position, if you got to pick in a perfect world, where you put a post office and where you put a coffee shop and where you put a park. And if you could make those concentric circles all close enough, then pedestrians will foot navigate from one to the other. So the mentality about trail in the city is we can connect people to places and people to people if we can give them a safe corridor within which to travel. So for instance, even now, you can go from the North Jackson Youth Baseball Fields, okay, through the back of the old golf course, all on paved trail. Okay, so up, it kind of winds up, and then you get to what's that called? Cool Papa Bell, which is where the museums are, right? And then you can walk or ride down by 55 on Museum Trail and get all the way to the farmer's market on a Saturday morning.
What's the distance on that? Do you know?
Probably, I think the Museum Trail from Laurel Street to High Street, say 2, right at 2 miles. So that's maybe 3.5 miles, And so, even a kid can do that on a bike. Like I go grab my 9-year-old and put him on his little 6-speed bike, and we live on Manship Street, and we run to the big park and I'm running, pushing him up hills, right? And he's pedaling his little bike, and we go to the big park and play and hit the water fountain and run back, And so I think if the city if the city could continue this trend of building trail, whether that's paved trail or whether that is individuals coming along and building running and mountain biking and trails, we'll see that. I think we'll see at the city at large what has been our small experience of our little experiment in Belhaven, where it connects people. And once you start to build them, it's the classic Field of Dreams story. Other people just show up. Every time I'm out there, I meet somebody new. So I think there's great hope for the city of Jackson with more and more trail, because now the museum trail is already, if not funded, approved to go all the way to Howlin' Mouse from the what is it, the farmers market to Howlin' Mouse now.
Well, it's done wonders for the city of Ridgeland,
right?
I mean, it's fantastic. I was on it today.
Yeah,
almost died, but it was great.
It was a warm one.
It's real stupid. Yeah. So tell us, okay, so the mountain bike trail, you guys are there. There's extra land,
right?
Who owns the land? Is that Belhaven Foundation?
Yes,
that's Greater Belhaven Foundation, right?
You're asking all the right questions. So the land is. I wish I'd sent you some images. The land is as if you used I-55 as its eastern border, and that would be as if you took a lemon wedge and you laid it on its side. So think about it like that. So that's the outside peel of the lemon is the east side. And then the western border would be the straight line, and that's the museum trail.
Yes.
So if you're in Laurel Park and you look all the way to the back of the park, you'll see a kiosk that was built by some Boy Scouts. Okay, that kiosk, and there's a trailhead. And if you go through that trail, you essentially enter into the very center of Museum Trail. And so you're at that hard line, straight western edge of the trail. And there's an entrance right to kind of the center of the mountain bike trails right there. And it's 38 acres, owned by the Greater Belhaven Neighborhood Foundation.
And the reason for that is you guys, so there's not technically there's not an organized group that sees it. Like there's not because I think I had looked into it at one time. So who carries the rider on it and everybody?
Yeah, okay,
it's
so
Greater Belhaven. It's under their envelope, right?
No, actually, so here's the story. So in 21, we got a memorandum of understanding signed. So we got an MOU signed between the Greater Belhaven Foundation and the Tri-County Mountain Bike Association. Yes. Right? So because we had to fall under the purview of the TCMBA's insurance for build days. Okay? And once that was done, then the property was opened under the Mississippi Recreational Use Statute, in which you can open public or private lands to public use, and there's protection for the property owner. So in the same manner that if you were, say, at Laurel Park or at a park in Ridgeland and you fell off a piece of playground equipment and you broke your ankle, okay, that property owner, the city of Ridgeland, is protected under the Mississippi Recreational Use Statute. You can't sue them. It would be thrown out. You can't sue them. I'm not a lawyer. You can't sue them because of the statute, okay? It's the same way for a private owner. When they open their lands for public use, even if you crash your mountain bike off of an improvement that we built, like a bridge or a 50-foot ramp even, you can't come after them. And because the really was that the foundation was exposed. They were kind of in a bad spot because you probably know this back from when you played out there as a kid. There have been homeless people out there since then.
We used to do a lot of bad things in the backside of Laurel Street Park. Dan, did you ever hang out in the back of Laurel Street Park?
No.
Yeah, we weren't doing any sports activities.
Right.
There, I tell you that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but
I know
we
exactly
had to go run off all those people as part of this
Mm-hmm.
process. And I just went and met these guys and just said, hey, look, this is what's happening. And eventually one day, mounted police are going to show up and run y'all off if you don't leave.
It was that easy?
It.
Can you go to Ridgewood Road and a couple other places? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, what about the corner of Old Canton and Frontage Road right now, huh? Like the Old Canton and Frontage Road.
I know.
But, but we've now...
I grew up right up the street from my house, Lakeland.
Yeah. But now that House Bill 1200 it has become a law as of July 1. These people are being dispersed, man.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see how it happens. Let's see if it works.
I'm very hopeful about HB 1200.
I got it.
I'm hopeful because as a just even as a real estate guy, you have squatters in houses, and you're having to go through the entire eviction process to get a squatter out of a house. And now with HB 1200, it's just an affidavit, and
So you cleared up the back of Laurel Street. So you've got all the entrance and everything. You got a trailhead back there.
So we have a trailhead there, and then there's a northern trailhead right underneath I-55. So think about coming southbound on 55, and you pass Woodrow Wilson, you go into the Waterworks curve, and then you go over Laurel Street, right? So almost underneath you right there. If you look down to the right, you'll see that trailhead. So there's one there. And then there's a southern trailhead entrance basically underneath the bridge at Fortification.
Yes.
Right? And so when I'm trying to tell people how to get there, I just say, go to Laurel Park, look at the back of Laurel Park, you'll see the kiosk.
How much trail do we have for mountain bike?
3.5, 4 miles. If you're double backing.
Who built it?
It's all volunteer built.
Okay.
And so it has been a lot of Bellhavenites, a lot of Fonder nights, just a lot of trail runner junkies.
Yeah.
It's been amazing to see the level of support that we have had in these build days. I'm just amazed to watch that when you create just a public platform that you're doing this, the amount of people that show up that want this to happen it's pretty impressive. And then, now I'm out there this afternoon, and normally, a couple years ago, I go for a trail run, and it's really more like a pick up sticks run. Because I've got to be the one moving the fallen logs because I want to use these trails, and then it just took off. And I'm out there, and somebody's been running chainsaws. I don't know who they are, but somebody's been running chainsaws clearing trail.
I think Chris Mixon's been out there a lot. Do you know?
Love Chris.
Yeah, I think he's been organizing some group runs and
he has
whatnot through there. And,
It's called the Jackson Run Club.
Yeah,
meets on
yeah, he's on the
Thursdays.
list. He's on the list. I'm probably going to have him on. I know him.
You need him.
I know him a little bit. I know him a little bit. I will say, I was involved with Mutts from the beginning, and they do so many great things. One of the things that they do, which you've run, is the Fonder and Urban Ultra.
Oh yeah,
which is fantastic. The whole model,
best
of that.
running party in Mississippi.
How fun is that? It's so much fun. But you can't tell me that something similar to that wouldn't be really cool right there in between the brewery and the pizza place, because they block the whole street off.
Yep.
So you could do tents all up and down, and you could run down the hill, hop on the trail. You can make a route.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mention it to Helen because she'll punch me.
Yeah, so
she's like, they got too much going on. They don't. I mean, they're like, whatever. I mean, they do so much.
They do so much.
But
and
if anybody ever had the idea of doing something like that, and I think it's awesome.
We may have run off with your idea already.
Really?
This year will be the 3rd annual Bellhaven Hills Classic. You got to come run it. It's on the morning of Oktoberfest.
Really?
Okay. So. What we've been doing is an 8K. It's a little bit different. So we have an 8K that leaves from Fertile Ground on the morning of Oktoberfest and goes in and runs museum trail and et cetera, and then comes back. Well, we have great prizes too because our sponsors are amazing.
And y'all have had this 2 other years?
2 years. We had 250 runners last year.
How the hell did I even know? I guess I'm so in and out because of my work schedule. And my running has been hit or miss over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds great.
So this year we're gonna have a 16K option Go do that math. Yeah, right.
Okay.
But and we're going to be running in the mountain bike trails.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I mean, we're raising great money. It all goes to the mountain bike trails to just build more trail, right? Improve more trail.
How much more land do you have out there? You got 3 miles now, right?
We've got 3 miles now. There's really only, I mean, we could maybe build another 1.5 miles, but it's improvements that we want to be making to it, right? Like banked turn beds, a lot more creek crossing opportunities. That would be fun. Build some other cool structures out there that you would ride or run. And I would hope that we are expanding to other places in Jackson. I would love to be saying these little, like I can remember, there's this book I used to read to my kids. I think it was called like The Hidden Garden or The Pocket Garden or something like that. But it's about this little boy who lives in this very dreary, very rainy, very smokestacky kind of industrial sort of world, right? And the first thing he sees that's green is this little flower popping up out of a sidewalk crack. And he gets this idea. And he starts cultivating gardens in little postage stamp little pieces of green space. And then it just goes and it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows until he lives in this very beautiful place that is just filled with gardens, right? I would love for us to be doing the same thing with trail all over Jackson. And I would say that's one of the reasons I wanted to get on your podcast is to say, I want to reach for other people that want to go do this, who have an idea. What about, have you thought about this spot? Even if it's 15 acres. Have you thought about how to connect this to this, right? Like there's a great Jackson recreational use Google map. Have you seen this thing flying around? Somebody built this thing. It's got it's got every piece of trail, even if it's only, as long as the museum trail or something over in West Jackson that they got grant money and built. They're all on there. And I would just love to see that continue to expand. If we get this One Lake project done, this Pearl River revitalization flood project done, the opportunities that we're going to have, I think, be a voice for the opportunity to connect the city through trail. They've been heard in the plan, and we could see a revitalization inside the city of Jackson that hasn't happened in our lifetimes because of the connectedness of this, right? So I would just love to see more trail. And so we would want to be promoting that. I'd love to go on the east side of I-55. I had a meeting last year with the city of Jackson to talk about expanding to the east side. And though they do have the land, which is something like 60 acres between I-55 and the Pearl, it's all in the floodplain.
Yeah, that's the Fanny Cook.
No, the Fanny Cook is north of Lakeland.
Yeah, because we were kind of involved with that.
Were you?
Well, at the very beginning.
Okay.
The very, very beginning.
I'm talking about the piece that's like just north of Fortification.
I got you.
But I know what the Fanny Cook is.
Yeah, that's massive.
It's super huge. What do you know about it?
Well, it's twice the size of, I think, what do you call that? The park, Central Park.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's massive. But Libby Hartfield, do you know Libby?
I don't.
Libby was one of the creators and helped spearhead the all the Maze Lake and the museum trail.
Yeah,
all of that back up in there. She's
okay.
I don't know her exact title, so please forgive me. But it's been several years since we worked with her.
Yeah.
But that property, the Fanny Cook property behind Jackson Prep, it goes all the way that way, goes all the way east. I think all that
to
land
the back of like Barnett Bend,
all of that behind
the way they're all Barnett.
Well, yes, and behind the Flowwood Y, all up in there.
Right.
Well, apparently that was I think it was given back to Energy was using it for like mitigation or something, and they had to give it back, and I think they were going to give it to Wildlife Mississippi to do something with. Yeah. And so there was talk of doing different recreation type stuff to do something with it, because half of it is floodplain. Now, if the One Lake comes in, that would probably decrease.
Flood control will be managed.
Flood control. But I think that where it's kind of fallen short, politics, but also too, there's so many people that have hunting leases back there. And so I think they were running into an issue with trying to clear it out because there's a lot of people that hunt back there.
Yeah.
So that it kind of never really took off. But at one time, I mean, we went to like a whole ribbon cutting thing out there. And it was big. And they were talking about doing something massive and with major money getting involved in it. And Mutts, when we first started, we were just happy to be invited to the, we didn't really know how we could help. But there was a lot of big people involved in that. But it just kind of lost momentum a little bit. But I don't think it's dead.
I don't think it's dead either because I've got a contact friend of mine who was a city engineer for the city of Flowood. And he gave me the phone number to the guy from the Army Corps
of Engineers
who was running the project of building roads back there and some infrastructure. And I'm not sure what the level the Corps was involved back doing that. But I called this guy and said, hey, I just want to come see it. And he asked for my press credentials. I said, man, I got nothing. I'm a nobody. I just want to see this project. I'm just a trail nerd. And he said, call me next week. And he kept doing this to me until I finally gave up. And I never got to see what's going on. But there was somebody working on back there.
So there was an entrance behind. There's like a little gate behind the Flowood Y. And that's where we went in. And you go down that road about 2 miles. And it backs up to the Pearl there. And there was a little bit of trail back there. But the problem is you had a lot of hunting leases. And I think it just I think money trying to get allocated to the right. I don't know. We kind of lost. And, It lost momentum for sure. But, I mean, there's trail outdoor activities. I mean, you and I talked about Johnny Davis. He's in, where'd you say he was?
He's in Bentonville, Arkansas. That's why he's not on with us.
So that is the Mecca. Did you know this, Daniel? Bentonville, Arkansas is the Mecca for mountain biking. It is. Not Colorado, not Arizona, not California. Bentonville, damn Arkansas. And they have invested so much, I guess Walmart money. There's a few other money. A lot of people have really, they made an effort. They said, look, we want to make outdoor parks and recs a priority.
They obviously pulled it off.
Well, another interesting story. So I have a really good friend of mine that I grew up with, Chris McQueen. He's an IT guy.
Okay.
He lives in Austin.
All right.
And he's married. They don't have any kids. He's got some allergy issues. Austin's killing him. So him and his wife, he can work remotely.
Yeah.
So they were like, we need to move, but we can live pretty much wherever we want.
Yeah.
So they started looking at like blue zone areas like California, Colorado, quality of life places and all of this. But after doing like cost of living, what are the summers like? What are the winters like? Real estate, all of this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where they kept coming back to was Arkansas. They don't know anybody within, 1,000 miles of there, but Arkansas. And part of it is the quality of life. And a lot of that has been because of the investment that they've made to the outdoor there. So look, Jackson, I mean, there's we've dealt with infrastructure issues and, cultural issues. And, there's a lot of, it's sometimes I feel like we just can't get out of our own way. But I do think there is some meat on the bone for sure when it comes to being able to offer something outdoor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a new concept to a lot of Mississippians to do something outside that doesn't involve hunting, fishing, right? It's just this trail runner lifestyle, this mountain bike lifestyle, this gravel bike.
Isn't it wild?
It's exploded.
It's just, look, when we started Mutts 10 years ago.
That was 10 years ago?
It's been 10 years. Right at 10 years. When we started, look, we just wanted to have some other people to go run out on the trail with us.
Right.
Because there was a few of us that had done some ultras, and we were like, it would be kind of neat if we could kind of get a group of people.
Yeah.
And it is just mushroom clouded. I mean, it's unreal.
How many members does Mutts have? Do you have any idea?
Oh, well, I mean, I know their Facebook's a few thousand.
Yeah.
But, you know, annual memberships, like people who pay, it's hundreds.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's great. And then it's not just them, but, you know, other organizations. And look at the mountain bike community, too. It's grown.
Yeah,
and
it's exploded.
I think it was episode 2 or 3 here. I think there was 4 mountain bike groups. I had South Mississippi, North Mississippi. I had Zach McCraney from Misfit. I had a bunch of guys in the Tri-County, and you know they're growing, and people want to get outside, and be involved in that, and it is pretty neat. So
you know, it accesses people really kind of at every stage of life too. You know, whether that's like what we see out of the Belhaven mountain bike trails, that might just be a mama with her ponytail up and a paper cup of coffee with a toddler who's just picking up stones, right? And throwing them in one of our creeks, right? Or it may be the Chris Mixon who's on mile 9 prepping for the prepping to go run with the run club.
Yeah, that guy's a beast.
I know. It's unbelievable. You've got to have him on.
Yeah, I think I might. I think he's doing Pinhoti. No way.
He has, I believe.
Yeah, I think he is doing.
But you know, he had his foot all put back together.
Yeah, he's running a bunch of Mutts race. He's too fast. I'm a mid packer or back toward. He's gone by the time I get done.
Chris is he's so big. Yeah. His upper body's so big. He's like a bodybuilder, but he's so fast. And he's just got so many miles in his tank. Granted, let's give him some credit. He is a little bit younger than we are.
Yeah, he is. I'm 53. How old are you?
44.
Oh, damn, I'm way older than you.
I think I got more gray than you, though. At least in this video, I did.
Just living right.
We'll edit it out.
I don't think you can.
Take care of that.
No, my mom is like totally white, you know, all the way back. And she's been telling me I'll be white by the time I'm 50. So
my dad didn't lose any hair.
Really?
And he didn't really get gray. My father passed away, I think he was 77. I don't remember how old he was, 70-something, and he barely just had a little bit of gray.
Isn't it wild and weird?
Yeah. I'm not complaining.
I guess you didn't stress him out.
I wouldn't say that. I was number 5.
You have 4 brothers and sisters?
I have 4 older sisters. So my sister, you probably know Kathy. She's the executive director of Good Samaritan Center.
Okay. I'm sure I've met her.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
If you live in Belhaven and all, you know. But I grew up in Belhaven. So of the mountain bike trail, and I wanted to bring you on because I think a lot of people might not look. I think it's just kind of hidden gem.
Yeah.
Kind of like Mays Lake. Anybody that camps, do you ever camp, Daniel? Do y'all ever camp or do any kind of we pop up for a while. We had a pop up. And one of the best things was going to Mays Lake.
It was so funny.
It's
during
fantastic.
COVID. So my boy, we've got 3 kids, and our oldest he's 16, and he got his Eagle when he was 15. Because
that's pretty strong right there.
Well, here's where here's the carrot on the stick. Is I told him when we started scouting, which he was 12, you know, he's 12 years old, right? So he didn't have any concept for this. I told him, I said, hey, look, if you're going to do this, we're going to do this. Because this is the same thing my dad told me. If you're going to start this, you got to finish this, right? And I told my son, I said, look, if you'll do it, I will get you a phone when you get your Eagle Scout. And he said,
no wonder he was only 15.
He didn't care. He was like 12. He's like, okay, fine. Of course, as he turned 13, 14, he was like, all my friends have phones. I want to get a phone. Like, well, you know, there's one thing. You only got to do one thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so, sure enough, this kid got his Eagle Scout at 15 years old.
Jeez.
Yeah. But we were camping during COVID, and with all these places we couldn't go. So Mays Lake is where we would end up. And Pierce would laugh about it because he was like, Dad, he's like, wait a minute. We just ran through here this morning.
But I tell you, Mays Lake is a sneaky cool place to go camping. It's wild. We would go. We had a pop-up camper, and we hit all the places, Roosevelt, Tishomingo, and all these other places, and Paul B. Johnson, and all that. But it was just great that we could drive 5 minutes and go to Mays Lake and just hook up. But the best thing is when you're done, you only have to drive 5 minutes home,
right?
Versus having to haul it all the way down the interstate, driving, a pop-up camper. But the trails that you guys have back there, it's just, I mean,
The,
awesome.
It is
and,
awesome.
And I want more people to get out there and to try to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think as many people take advantage of the market trail or the museum trail as they could.
I think that the sign that they've put up that you can see from 55, these little things they're pretty big draws. When I am out there, which is say, every other day or something, I'm running around out there, riding out there. I don't see the same faces all the time. I see new faces and young and old faces, and it's a pretty clear snapshot of what the city of Jackson actually looks like. Right? It's pretty cool that I think it's growing. I got no metrics to back it up, but if new faces are any indicator, it's growing. Chris's thing that he's got going on Thursday nights, the Jackson Run Club, it meets at Fertile Ground at 6 p.m. All paces are invited.
Every Thursday at 6.
Every Thursday at 6.
At Fertile Ground, there's a run down to the trail.
Down to the trail and back, and then everybody hangs out at Fertile Ground for half an hour.
Have you ever been to Poppy's Pizza, Daniel?
No, but we're going to go there.
Bro.
We're going to go there. Malcolm, David Sugg,
Uh-huh.
and Brent Knox are all going to go there probably week after next.
Let me tell you what. God.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
It's really good.
Yeah. Also, don't
It's
miss
really good.
the burger at Rowan's.
Never had that.
Oh, it's a smash skillet burger.
Oh, is it really?
God. Yeah, it's fabulous. You need to check that out.
But it's really good. But yeah, I love that area. I think it's fantastic. I don't drink, so I could care less about the brewery. Although I do think it's great that there's a place that people could go socially and hang out and all that. And
I mean, it's a great place to watch a game.
so Thursdays at 6. Daniel, we have the link. Can you throw that link up for the Belhaven Mountain Bike? It's in the show notes. Okay, so we did put a link for the show on the show notes for the Belhaven Mountain Bike Trail.
Yeah, I think we have a link tree.
Yeah. What does the audience need to know? What can you guys need help with anything?
Yeah.
Is there anything coming up?
Yeah. So, what we would love for any and all participation. So, for instance, coming up October 18th is the third annual Belhaven Hills Classic. So this is, it's the T-shirt fundraiser run, right? But signups are open now, and you can find us on all the signups, But it's an 8K, a 16K.
That would be 5 and 10 miles.
Yep, 5.
I'm doing the math.
There
for
you go.
Non-European people.
And then a beer mile, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And we have a kids fun run.
Okay.
John Hart Gary, we've almost got him nailed down. He's going to be coming to play, and you can find him on Spotify. Geary is spelled Geary. And if you want to come out and volunteer, if you don't want to run, still get a T-shirt, still get a swag bag. Our sponsors so far, we've got Committed, Mississippi Sports Medicine. Last year, Ergon. So we've had really great sponsors who've been very generous with us.
Okay.
And, all the proceeds raised for this go into the Greater Belhaven Foundation, right? So they're going into a legitimate 501c3 that is audited, and we have our own filtered account for the Belhaven Mountain Bike Trails. So that money is only spent on trying to build
So it's
more
earmarked.
trail.
It's earmarked for the mountain bike trail.
And so you can imagine.
Is Chuck Lindsay still on that board?
I don't think he is at this time.
Okay.
Lives on Belvoir.
I've known Chuck for years.
Have you?
He was he on the board? Well, he's been my auditor for years. Different nonprofits, but
Right.
I know Chuck real well.
Right. And of course, Chaz, his son,
Yes.
owns Polito and Rowan's in the neighborhood.
Does he really?
Owns them both, yeah.
Hell, I didn't know that.
Yep. And he also just bought Henry LaRose's old real estate office.
Really?
Yeah.
There's so much history in Belhaven.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, really. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, this is before you probably moved there, but Parkins Pharmacy, if you lived in Woodland Hills, you knew a kid that would have a charge account to Brent's Drugs.
Right.
And we would ride our bikes up there and get steak sandwiches and milkshakes.
Yeah.
Or if you knew somebody who lived in Belhaven, you would ride your bike over to Parkins Pharmacy in the same situation. It was a soda fountain.
Yeah.
and we would just go eat over there.
Uh-huh.
So it was just growing up just in there, and a lot of it was just being able to ride our bikes around. So the fact that you guys have something like that where kids can get outside,
Right.
I live in Gluckstadt,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm surrounded by kids, and you never see them,
Right.
because they're inside all day long.
Well, it's also too,
and that's
they got nowhere to go except to somebody else's house
good point.
to go sit inside. Whereas if we create opportunities with trail access to get people out to go to places, they will get out and they will go. For instance, now that we got these funds allocated for the bridge that's going to go over Lakeland, the pedestrian bridge.
That's right.
All right. So those funds are allocated. So the objective is to go to connect Eastover, Leftover, Northeast Jackson at large to the downtown corridor. So think about it this way. You get that big pedestrian bridge in, right? It's North Jackson Youth Baseball Fields.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're on, so Lakeland, did you know this? Lakeland and Frontage Road right there is called it's the busiest intersection in Mississippi.
Didn't know
Isn't that
that.
crazy? And so that's how you go get funding, I guess, for something like this.
No
We're
wonder
we
they're always
gotta have a
panhandling
pedestrian.
out there.
Right.
I'm kidding.
It's a rough spot. A lot of stolen bikes over there. But it'll be from North Jackson Youth Baseball Fields over and a flyover to where like the other ball field is at the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have trail, that would wind you back through up into Northeast Jackson. And then I would hope that we'll have enough connected trail at that point to take us into, let's get the Fannie Mae Cook.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's connect it all. But think about it this way: if you had that pedestrian flyover and it was connected enough into those neighborhoods in Northeast Jackson into the district that kids could ride their bikes, moms and dads could ride their bikes, and you could get free from the threat of an automobile all the way to downtown where they're tearing down the Eudora Welty Library. And they're building a stage and an area where food trucks can pull in, and they're and they can plug up and all that, and a green space. So I'm sure we're never gonna we're not gonna pull down REM or anything into this little green space, but it's just at least a space for an opportunity,
Sure,
to have community. And what if you could do that all on your bicycle? Wouldn't you do that? Right? Like, wouldn't families in Northeast Jackson go, yeah, that's totally what we're gonna do on a Saturday afternoon, is ride down there, eat food trucks, and go hear a band, and then ride our bikes home that night. How great is that?
Well, man, I tell you what, you got me pumped up. Daniel, you thinking about getting outside? We give Daniel so much hell.
I live outside.
Yeah, we give Daniel such a hard time.
So I just feel like Jackson is poised for a level of growth, for what I've said about this place long before that brewery existed.
Yeah.
is I'm not from here, and yet this place has been such. It has been such a space of fertile ground that in my own real estate business, I feel like I've been failing my way forward for 20 years.
Really?
I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, so what does that mean? It means you don't know what you're doing.
Sure.
And you go set out to go do it. And I just feel like this place is poised. I've just been watching it blossom underneath me. And I feel like we got a new mayor.
How do you feel about that?
Very good.
Okay.
We have the potential for these projects to come in. I feel like Jackson is poised for a level of growth that it's just never, not in my time here, has it ever been poised like it is poised for this now.
You definitely have given me some hope, and look. There's really cool. I mean, there's bright spots everywhere.
Yeah,
but you have definitely mapped out a road of potential, and I think that if other people, like-minded people like yourself, can continue to volunteer and to share in that same enthusiasm, it is contagious.
It is,
and I think other people will get involved.
It truly has proven to be contagious when you start something like the Belhaven mountain bike trails, and then you realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm no longer I'm no longer the engine on this train trying to make it go. Others are the engine that are making it go. And sometimes now I just kind of feel like I'm along for the ride.
Well, you're doing a hell of a job.
Well,
I mean, seriously.
I give all the credit to our volunteers.
Well,
it's fabulous.
We have the link for the website. Please, I encourage people to go check it out. If you feel, led, please volunteer, donate, spread the word. Go out there and check it out. That's where it all starts. I think if people just go check it out, they'll probably go back and visit it for sure.
I completely agree.
That's awesome.
Come on out.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out. Couple things in closing.
Yeah.
Before we get, I did want to mention coming up. I have a good buddy of mine that I've known now. It's hard to believe that I've known him for close to 20 years. Reed Nunnally.
Yeah, I know Reed.
Okay. So I've known Reed. He worked back at the store at Fleet Feet. When I first kind of got started, and he's been around. And Reed was one of the first guys that really got out on trail and was running ultras. Him and a guy named John Brower.
I know John Brower.
Okay, so and actually John was scheduled to come on the show because he actually got into Hard Rock 100, which I don't know if you're familiar.
I don't know Hard Rock.
Okay, so it is in the San Juan Mountains in Colorado.
Okay, I've ridden in San Juan Mountains.
It's probably the hardest race to get into in the world. It's very difficult.
Is it point to point?
No, it's a loop, but it's brutal.
Uh-huh.
It's like very, very difficult.
Uh-huh.
Like you have to get out there weeks ahead of time. Most people do to get acclimated to it because it's so high up and it's just,
I'm familiar.
It's such a difficult race, but it's an epic race. Well, John got in finally after he did it
this year or will do
He'll
it?
be running it next. It's in July, I think.
Oh,
I think it's this month. So he was going to come on, and I talked to him about coming on like a few months ago.
Yeah.
He was all jazzed, and he said, "But you got to bring Reed on with me because that's his road dog. They've been buddies." Yeah. But as you may know, and I think a lot of our audience knows, Reed
praying for Reed.
Yes. So Reed has he had a tumor that popped up in his brain. Mm-hmm. So he is getting treatment for that. I think everything's going well. Mm-hmm. There has been a Facebook page that started Hope Ultra.
I saw that.
And they are having a run on July 17th at the Soul Shine in Flowood. It's a run walk 5K.
Cool.
And it's a fundraiser for Reed.
Very cool.
And if you go to Hope Ultra, I didn't send you a link, did I? I just sent you a picture, didn't I? Is it on the description? Okay, good. Reed you do know Reed, huh?
I do.
Let me tell you what, can I just say, we talked, I'll probably get a little emotional.
I'm in for it, man.
And, I think anybody that's met Reed has been a better person because of it. Mm. Does it make sense?
Oh.
And he's just
a genuine generosity.
What a sweet guy. Mm-hmm. And he's so damn funny.
Tender spirit,
such a good guy. I remember when I first started running, he was working at the store, and he was just so welcoming, and just so many funny things. Mm-hmm. God, he's just so funny, and he's been, he's just always been there. His family's fantastic.
Yeah,
his wife's awesome. He's done so much for the community, and then so my daughter, my oldest daughter, she was National Merit. Had opportunities to go pretty much anywhere to school.
Wow.
I mean, she had Ivy League offers and stuff like that. And my wife, who grew up in Clinton, Camden, my oldest daughter, she really wanted to go to MC. And my wife was like, I spent 18 years trying to get out of Clinton, and now my daughter wants to go to Clinton to go to school. But my daughter wanted to go to a small school, Christian school. Yeah. And we tried to coax her into going to other places. Well, we went to a dinner type thing at MC, and it was kind of a recruiting thing, and we went and just did a tour and all that. So, Reed was there as an alumni.
Oh man!
And he was not trying to push, but just he spent a lot of time and he talked to us and everything, and just his enthusiasm for his alma mater really made the decision for us. Very comforting. Yeah. And we were like, at least for me anyway.
Yeah.
And so my daughter ended up going there and got a degree from MC.
Yeah.
But you know, Reed's just such a good guy. So he's dealing with some things right now. I have spoken with him a little bit.
Mhm.
I didn't want to come across as I did invite him to come on,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to sound like an asshole, you know,
Mhm.
by having, you know what I'm saying? Like I
Right.
didn't want anybody to think I'm just trying to do this to get clickbaits or
Right.
nothing.
Right.
Because he had mentioned one time I'm coming on the show or something, you know, and I did invite, but clearly he's like,
He's got another battle to fight.
let me
right
take.
now.
He obviously has bigger
Right.
things to worry about than coming to hang out with
Yeah.
me for an hour. But I thought, and Daniel had mentioned it too. We're like, let's mention, you know, the thing coming up.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people know about it, and a lot of
Mhm.
people are very supportive. So on July 17th, I think it's a week from Thursday, I think, it's at Soul Shine, 7 o'clock that night, I believe. But if you go to Hope Ultra, you look at the show notes, there's a little fundraiser for Reed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I saw it's a cool T-shirt too.
he's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Super cool dude. Every week we have a song of the week,
Yeah.
a guest.
Okay.
I did listen to a little bit of
Uh-huh.
it. Do you want to explain what you've
No,
got?
I think it's just it showed up in my Spotify feed one day, and I thought it was catchy, so I just threw it at. It was the first thing that came to mind for some reason.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
What is it?
it's called Rah Rah. The band's called Rah Rah Riot. This
Uh-huh.
song's like 10 years old.
Okay.
It's nothing like chart topping. You probably never heard it before.
I think I might have.
Really?
I saw it and I was like, I wonder what the story is behind
Anyway,
that.
just you can light it up.
Well,
It's one of those things. It's a smiley. It just tips you off, you know.
well, look, Dallas, I appreciate you coming by.
Oh
and
man,
look,
I'm-
if you,
thank you for having me.
I think moving forward, like especially when it comes closer to October, you
Yeah.
know, if you want to chime in, we'll get you back on.
I'd love to.
We'll talk more about the event.
Yeah.
And then again, you know, I can't thank you enough. Folks, please support the Belhaven Mountain Bike Trail. Go check it out. All of that down there, City of Jackson. You know, there's good things to come because you've got good people like Dallas that are, you know, that are really towing the line, so to speak, and doing a lot of great things in the City of Jackson. So again, thank you, man. I appreciate
Thank
you coming.
Thank you very much. Y'all come on out to the trails.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. Well, cool, man.
Tired of sleeping on the sidewalk, working at the bus stop, night to morning. Tired and waiting for the sunlight. When it comes, it's still dark where I'm going. Don't punish me for what I feel. Don't punish me for what I feel. So I crawled out of the back door, took off all these tight clothes, jumped into the water. So I crawled out of the back door, took off all these tight clothes, jumped into the water. I jumped into the water. The Precious demons on the TV, so I sold it on 16th Street, but I still hear the drone. Now I'm about to get off this night shift. Do you think I could get a lift? I don't care where you're going. Don't punish me for Bye.